He's a former Brewers pitcher. You can hear him on his podcast, Buses, Benches, and Baseball. It's time to hear from FanDuel Sports Network Brewers analyst Tim Dillard as he joins Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
You know, you got to communicate better, Tim Dillard. Next time
I do.
Wearing those orange sunglasses, you got to tell me so I can go get my orange sunglasses that you gave me a while back out of my desk drawer, and I can wear mine, and we both can be matchy when we're doing the video part of this, Tim Dillard. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to be honest. I bet those glasses are still in the plastic, and you haven't touched them since I gave them to you. You just put them in a drawer.
No.
They're covered in dust.
No, yes, but they were never in plastic. You must have taken them out of the plastic when you gave them to me, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were used.
Anyway,
what's going on?
It's okay, though. They still mean a lot. I want to start off with Woodruff because I want your perspective, being a guy that, pitched for a long time at different levels and then eventually walked away from doing what you love, because I've never done it, obviously. Charlie played college football, but never got to the pros, obviously. So we don't know what this is like, but you've got a lot of fans like, maybe he's done. Maybe this is going to be a wrap if he can't get that shoulder better and so forth. And everything that goes along with it. You're there. Obviously, you're talking with him more than we are. Where are we at with this Woodruff situation?
Well, for me personally, it took a worldwide pandemic to ruin my career. And then when I tried to revive it, my wife was like, no, you're done. So that's how I knew that my career was over.
That means your wife loves you and wanted you at home still.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know all the details of it. I don't think there's any reason to think that this is the end for Woodruff. I mean, the guy can still throw. He was pumping 70-mile-an-hour changeups, striking a guy out in a Major League Baseball game. So can he still get people out? That's what it comes down to. Regardless of if he wants to go through all the, whatever it takes, rehab, if it's a surgery situation, I have no idea. But if he wants to go through all that and keep playing, why not? I would play until they absolutely rip the jersey off of me. Those are some of my favorite teammates. They will grind out everything on the mound, every at-bat, every play in the field. Those are the guys that you want in the clubhouse, the ones that would do whatever it takes to keep that jersey. And I feel like he's one of those guys.
I literally told Charlie that earlier in the show. I said, dude, I'm telling you right now, as long as somebody pays Brandon Woodruff, he's going to continue to pitch as long as he can. Even if he doesn't pitch full healthy seasons and has to have an IL stent here or there, whatever, to get through with his issues that he may have with his arm and shoulder or whatever, he's just going to continue to pitch, because you never get back that feeling that you have, whether it be in a locker room or a clubhouse or whatever sport you play, that's a team sport. You never can replace that. I don't know, that energy, that mojo. Is that the right way to describe it, Tim?
Maybe. And also, things they can do with surgery wise. I know Pat Murphy, I don't know if he slipped up or said what, but talking about there was a tear in the labrum. I had a tear in my labrum in my left shoulder when I was in college, and I went to Dr. Andrews in Birmingham, and he did orthoscopic surgery, which he had never done before, but he put one stitch in my labrum. Now what they do is orthoscopically, they put 2 stitches in your labrum. The rehab process is cut down significantly than it used to be. I mean, could he come back throwing harder? A lot of guys do. It's all about command after that. So is it a very reachable type situation? Yeah, I think so. I mean, he would probably play for free at this point. That's just kind of where he is in his career. So would someone give him a shot if he goes through absolutely. So yeah, I mean, he's that kind of guy that you want in the clubhouse, and you want him on the mound.
Talking with Tim Dillard, Brewers TV analyst, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. All right, let's talk about Brandon Sproat a little bit, because I think that's another guy that's been popular with his fan base. And I feel like a lot of the fans are like, he is so close to potentially being, one of those really frontline type pitchers. Pat Murphy, I think, has talked about it. I know Vinny Rottino on TV has said he thinks he has elite type stuff to where maybe he can eventually get there at some point. What's he missing? What's that 10% or 5% or whatever that's maybe kind of getting in his way right now?
I think it's throwing strikes. When you go back to yesterday's game, it was a tough watch. He was grinding every single at bat, 20 plus pitches every single inning. And the stuff is too good to be throwing that many balls. It really is. There's guys that have half of his stuff that flip it up there for strikes more often than not. And he probably knows that. And that's an easy fix, whether if for him it's going to be mechanical or maybe it's pitch selection. A lot of times if you have 6 different pitches, you don't know what's going to work that day. And then you have the scouting report that says, well, you got to throw this pitch. Well, guess what? Maybe between that scouting report and leaving the bullpen to try and start the game, you don't have command of that pitch. So if they're like, hey, you need to throw a cutter to this guy, it's like, I got no feel for my cutter. It's like, well, we got to follow this. Well, then you start throwing pitches that you don't need to be throwing because you don't have command of it that day. So I think it's an experience thing. But when he throws strikes, I mean, he's unbelievable. But he was less than 50% first pitch strikes yesterday, I believe. And it's not sustainable. You're going to be throwing 100 pitches in 4 or 5 innings every time out. And if you're not striking out the world, putting up a 0 or a 1, then it's not always the best thing. But as long as those games are few and far between, I think he'll be just fine.
Let's talk about how this bullpen shakes out now, because you don't get an off day, and instead you're greeted with 5 games in 4 days with a doubleheader coming up tomorrow. This is, I'm guessing, going to be tricky with Pat Murphy, and I would assume there'll be some roster manipulation along the way.
Yeah, maybe. Jeff Levering's right here. Him and I were just talking about this. He's trying to escape. There he is. We were working on signatures, too, on what our signatures would look like on different documents, baseballs, jerseys, the Declaration of Independence, things like that. But during that, we were talking about how this is all going to shake out. And it looks like a lot of rain would be coming on Thursday for a night game. So maybe MLB potentially pushes that to a day game because the Cardinals already have another off day where they have to have a scheduled makeup game against the Diamondbacks. So, yeah, it's a whole mess. But I think the message from Pat Murphy to the team is be prepared for this mess and let's just get through it. I think whichever team is more prepared mentally for this whole challenge is probably going to come out on top in these 5 games because, it's going to be, there's going to be rain. There's going to be a doubleheader. There's going to be a lot of stuff to overcome, but it didn't sneak up on anybody. I think the management and the front office are putting in place certain guys that are going to be ready to pitch when the time comes.
I want to talk about Garrett Stallings with you, if you don't mind, because that's a hell of a story that I don't think a lot of people necessarily are talking about. I mean, this guy was drafted in, 2019. That was 7 years ago, and makes his major league debut over the weekend. That is a rather longer journey, I guess you could say, in the minor leagues to get up here and not necessarily quit and go home and be like, that's just not going to happen. Obviously, I'm just going to leave. And sometimes I think that probably does happen where guys just get frustrated and it's like, okay, it's just not going to be it. I got to go find something else to do one way or the other to stick with it. And then to get up here, that to me, that's a pretty cool story from a fan perspective.
Well, I think you're going to see less and less of that as the minor leagues keeps getting younger and younger. You know, there was a time where if you didn't click early on, then you would beat around. You go to different teams, different organizations, and you just kind of grind it out, work your way through, maybe even go to independent ball and come back. But now that everything's getting younger, you're not going to see these guys not get to the big leagues for 6 or 7, 8 years. It's just not going to happen. But there was a lot of stories like that. One that comes to mind, Evan Ashley caught for 10 years before the Brewers called him up, probably 2015 or 16 maybe. But yeah, there's a lot of those type guys that used to be out there, but they're going to be few and far between. And it says a lot about him too, to just, keep out there and keep doing it because you don't make a ton of money. Believe me, you don't make a ton of money in the minor league, especially if you're not floating around on a 40-man roster somewhere. So as you reach a certain age, life will kick in. And honestly, I've had a lot of teammates that just had to quit just so they could continue living their life because they were making no money in the minor league. So you kind of live out the fantasy for a while and then circumstances kick in and you got to actually get a real job. But kudos to him to keep doing it because those are some of my favorite players of all time. The ones that just, like I said before, they just don't want to give up. They know they can do it. And so they just keep going.
I got one last one for you, Tim Dillard. That's Christian Yelich. We talked about him in the first hour of the show. He's been a popular subject on social media, I guess you could say. People getting frustrated with Yelich, thinking maybe he's kind of reaching the end of the line after watching him the last couple of months. Then he hits a home run over the weekend, splashed it into the water very nicely and so forth. What have you seen from Yelich? Have you seen anything of possibly slowing down or any type of thing like that where maybe his back is bothering him? Have you seen any warning signs, I guess you could say?
No warning signs. Just there's been times he's struggled at the plate, and honestly, he's getting pitched really tough. I think everyone is kind of looking like, okay, there's some holes right now in the swing, and until he closes those holes, then we're gonna keep, trying to make pitches. I've seen him out very early on a couple of days working with Daniel Vogelback. They go out early, they hit a few balls, then they talk about it, and then they hit a few balls and they talk about it. So clearly, it's a work in progress for whatever is going on, but. Even if there is a hole in a guy's swing, and take it from me as a pitcher, eventually you're going to try to make that pitch. And if you miss, it's going to be a big mistake. And that's where Christian Yelich is probably making the rounds right now, is because he is crushing mistakes. And if you don't throw anything in the zone, he'll take his walks. That's why his on-base percentage is still good, is because, his presence in the lineup, you're going to see it today. I think he's at the top of the order. Look for him to be improving. That's what all these guys do. They go through lulls and then they come out on top. This is a proven hitter. He's been hitting his whole life. Those guys figure out a way.
Okay, so I lied. I got one more since you brought up the peaks and valleys, because this is something else I've been talking about. People are freaking about runners in scoring position and how poorly the Brewers are struggling with runners in scoring position. I think it's a fair point, valid point. I keep saying it's a peak and valley thing, that they're too good to be in this forever. And the positive in all of this is, even though they're struggling, they're still figuring out ways to win baseball games. And then when they do start hitting with runners in scoring position, more than likely they're going to go streaking in the win category for a while.
Well, I think fans should put everything through a filter. Number one, the team is still winning. The team is still good. There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. And, they find out different ways. It's not like the game hinges for them on one or two batters. You can go around Major League Baseball, and if there's one or two batters that completely run the offense, that is it. Luckily, Yelich doesn't have to be that guy where it's all because of him. He's allowed to be human and make mistakes and figure things out. So the whole runners in scoring position thing, I mean, it's a testament because they have a lot of runners. I remember the Braves a couple years ago when they were so good, they left more runners than anybody on base. And it's because they had more runners on base than anybody else. They haven't been getting the big hit on some of the losses, but the wins, they are getting the big hit. So look for that to shake out, because they know that there's a discrepancy there. They know they should be doing a better job. And baseball players are creatures. When it comes to when they have a deficiency, they attack it. How are we deficient? How do we fix it? That's what's so good about good teams, is they figure out what they're doing bad and improve on it.
Tim Dillard is awesome, and you should listen each and every Monday and watch him on each and every game as well. Follow him on X at Dim Dillard. Again, Brewers TV analyst, joins us each and every Monday. Enjoy another game of baseball tonight, Tim Dillard.
Yeah, go Brewers.